When despair tightens its grip and every path feels blocked, a hidden key awaits. It's not outside you, it's within. One shift, one secret practice, and walls become doors, obstacles dissolve, and destiny surges forward. You are not trapped. You are awakening. Since the dawn of human striving, there have been moments when life feels like a locked corridor, dreams pressed against invisible walls, hearts burdened by resistance, and possibilities sealed away. In these moments, despair whispers its cruel illusion. You are powerless, you are stuck. But beneath that lie hums a deeper truth, one known by sages, mystics, and dreamers throughout the ages. Stagnation is never permanent. What appears immovable is but an unopened doorway, waiting for the right touch of consciousness to swing wide. This book is that touch, a companion for the moments when your life feels frozen, when you are hemmed in by doubt, failure, or fear. Within these chapters lie ancient practices and modern revelations that ignite momentum, break inner chains, and call forth forces greater than circumstance. You will learn the art of alignment, how to step into resonance with the creative power that shapes worlds. You will rediscover that setbacks are not endings, but initiations, preparing you for leaps your former self could not have imagined. And you will explore methods to dissolve resistance, summon courage, and walk confidently through doors that once felt locked forever. Each night, each pause, each practice becomes an invitation to step into a higher current. For what keeps you stuck is not the world, but the story you tell yourself. And the moment you shift the tale, the world rearranges. Prepare yourself. This is not another book of comfort. It is a guide to ignition. When you are totally stuck, try this and watch as doors explode open, revealing pathways already waiting for you. Chapter 1: The Illusion of Walls. Why stuck is a story, not reality. There was once a man named Elias who lived in a small mountain village hemmed in by towering cliffs. All his life he believed his world ended at the foot of those stone walls. The villagers told stories of impossible heights, of jagged edges that cut the sky, and so Elias never dared to climb. He worked the soil, tended his goats, and let his dreams of the beyond rot quietly in the corners of his heart. One spring morning, as he repaired a fence near the cliff's base, a traveler arrived from the other side. She carried with her not wings nor ropes, but only the worn sandals on her feet. Elias was stunned. "How did you pass the walls?" he asked. She smiled gently, her eyes filled with a knowing light. "There are no walls," she replied, "only stories about them." Stuckness, like Elias's cliffs, is never the stone reality you believe it to be. It is a story repeated so often in your mind, it takes on the weight of truth. You whisper to yourself, "I cannot move forward. This is impossible. Life has locked me in." Yet these words are not iron bars. They are smoke, dense enough to blind, but never strong enough to hold. The illusion of walls is born from repetition. When you tell yourself again and again that you are trapped, the brain builds pathways that reinforce this belief. Your subconscious, like obedient soil, grows the seeds you plant in it. The more you insist on being stuck, the more you water that reality. But illusions, no matter how strong they feel, dissolve the moment you withdraw your belief. The traveler who came through Elias's village did not live by the story of walls. She had once stood at their base too, trembling at their height. But curiosity led her to press a hand against the stone, to trace the crevices, to climb. Step by step, what seemed impossible revealed itself as possible. And when she crossed over, she realized the walls had never been barriers at all. They were only landscapes, part of the journey, not the end of it. In your life, the walls appear in many forms. The job you cannot leave, the relationship that feels suffocating, the dream that seems unreachable. Yet look closer. What stops you is not the world itself, but the story that you can't. These stories harden like cement, but they are still only words and beliefs. The truth is that the walls are doorways in disguise, awaiting the moment you choose to see them as such. When you are stuck, you are caught not in reality, but in perception. Just as a bird does not question whether the sky has boundaries, you too were born to move, to expand, to transform. The mind, however, is clever at convincing you otherwise. It points to evidence, failures, rejections, delays. It weaves these into a narrative that says, you cannot pass here, but narratives are not truth, they are choices. The ancient practice for dissolving these illusions begins with recognition. Tonight, before you surrender to sleep, sit quietly and bring to mind the wall you believe blocks you. Perhaps it is financial struggle, loneliness, or lack of clarity. Name it clearly, then whisper aloud, this is not a wall, this is a story. Feel the weight shift in your chest as the words reverberate. See the wall becoming transparent, its stones dissolving into mist. Behind it, imagine open pathways, light spilling through, infinite roads waiting. In time, as Elias learned, you will discover that movement comes not from demolishing walls, but from releasing belief in their power. The traveler within you already knows the way forward. All that is required is the courage to test the stone, to place your hand upon it, and realize it yields like smoke. The walls you fear are illusions. The moment you recognize this, you are no longer trapped. You are standing at the threshold of freedom, and freedom has been waiting all along. Chapter 2: The Weight of Yesterday. How Past Patterns Anchor the Present. In a quiet coastal town there lived a woman named Mariana, who carried an invisible burden. To the villagers she appeared as any other, working, smiling, exchanging greetings in the market. Yet every evening as she lay in bed, a heavy chest pressed upon her spirit. It was filled with the voices of her past, every failure, every wound, every word of doubt whispered by those she once trusted. Though she tried to walk forward, her steps dragged. She dreamed of new beginnings, but each attempt collapsed beneath the weight of yesterday. One night, in desperation, she asked aloud, "Why can't I move?" In the silence that followed, a thought rose, because you are carrying what was never meant to be carried so far. Your present moment is often chained not by reality, but by memory. Each pattern you repeat, each hesitation you feel, stems from echoes of yesterday. Childhood wounds whisper, "Stay small." Old failures murmur, "Don't risk again." Betrayals caution, "Do not trust." These voices create invisible anchors, holding you in shallow waters when the open sea of possibility lies ahead. The mind records everything. Every rejection, every disappointment etches grooves in your subconscious. Left unchecked, these grooves harden into roads you walk automatically. Without realizing, you relive the past, dragging its dead weight into your present. That is why you feel stuck, not because today holds no opportunities, but because yesterday still grips your reins. Mariana's breakthrough came when she visited an elder healer in her village. The woman handed her a bundle of stones and instructed, "Carry these through the forest and notice their weight." Mariana did, stumbling beneath the load. At last the healer said, "Now drop them." When she released the stones, the earth shook with relief. The elder smiled. "Do you see? None of these stones were truly yours to keep." So it is with your past. You may believe your failures define you, but they are only stones you still carry. You may cling to the pain of old words, but those words are echoes, not chains. The weight of yesterday remains only because you refuse to set it down. The practice is simple but profound. Each evening before sleep, reflect upon your day and notice what heaviness you are carrying. Name it, perhaps a regret, a mistake, a harsh thought. Then visualize placing it into a small wooden chest. Close the lid firmly, whispering, "I leave you behind." See yourself walking forward without it, lighter, freer. In time, this ritual trains the mind to release the grip of old patterns, creating space for new pathways to emerge. Know this: yesterday is gone. Its only power is what you grant it. The present moment is fertile, fresh, alive with possibility. When you choose to carry the past, you weigh yourself down with shadows. But when you release it, the horizon stretches wide and the sea calls you onward. Mariana, freed from her stones, walked lightly for the first time in years. She began to laugh again, to dream, to create. The past had not vanished. It remained part of her story, but no longer her anchor. She had finally chosen to walk unburdened. So too can you release yesterday. The present is waiting. Chapter 3. The Enemy Within. Fear Disguised as Protection. There was a boy named Rowan who lived beside a vast forest. The elders warned him never to enter, for the woods were haunted with shadows. Yet one evening, chasing a lost sheep, Rowan stepped beyond the tree line. As darkness fell, shapes moved among the trees. His heart pounded. He froze. And then he realized the shapes were not beasts, but shadows cast by the moon. His fear had been an illusion, born from stories meant to keep him safe. Fear is the oldest companion of humanity. It whispers warnings, holds you back, convinces you that the unknown is dangerous. At its root, fear seeks to protect. It tells you, do not risk. Stay where you are. Remain within the familiar. In childhood, this instinct preserved life. But in adulthood, it often becomes a cage. When you are stuck, fear hides behind the mask of reason. It says, it's not the right time, or you need more preparation, or what if you fail? These voices feel like wisdom, but they are fear disguised as guardianship. They are the enemy within, not because they wish you harm, but because they cling so tightly to safety that they suffocate growth. Fear's disguise is subtle. It masquerades as responsibility, humility, even logic. Yet beneath these masks lies the trembling child who longs for certainty in an uncertain world. Until you recognize this, you remain trapped, believing your caution is truth when it is only fear's shadow. Rowan learned this when he walked deeper into the forest. The shadows he feared became familiar trees, their shapes softened in the moonlight. What had seemed monstrous revealed itself as harmless. And beyond them, he found a meadow of wildflowers glowing under the stars, a beauty hidden until he dared to face the unknown. So too in your life. The fears you avoid are often thresholds. Behind them lies the very abundance you seek: love, success, freedom. But you will not see the meadow until you pass through the forest. Fear cannot be conquered by force. It dissolves through recognition. When you look it in the eye and whisper, "I see you," the disguise falls. The practice is this: each night before you sleep, identify one fear that holds you still. Write it on paper in clear words. Then, beside it, write, "Thank you for trying to protect me, but I am safe to move forward." Place this note beneath your pillow. As you drift into dreams, let your subconscious absorb the truth. Fear is not your master. It is a shadow, dissolving in the light of awareness. Rowan never again feared the forest. He entered it often, harvesting herbs, exploring paths, discovering hidden springs. What once held him captive became his playground. So it shall be with you. The enemy within is not a monster, but a frightened guardian. Thank it. Release it, walk forward anyway, and as you do, you will find the doors that seem locked explode open, revealing meadows of possibility waiting just beyond the shadow. Chapter 4. The Silent Chains, Hidden Beliefs that Bind Without Notice. In a bustling harbor town lived Marietta, a seamstress known for her skill yet forever reluctant to expand her business. Customers adored her work, Neighbors encouraged her, and opportunities beckoned like ships in port ready to sail. And yet, each time she considered stepping forward, she found herself hesitating, as though some invisible weight pulled her back. She could not name it. To her, it felt natural, even logical, to remain small. One evening, exhausted after turning away yet another commission, she dreamt of walking through a grand hall lined with statues. Each statue bore her face, though in different poses, one bent in shame, another shrouded in doubt, another kneeling as though unworthy. Around each statue were chains so delicate they looked like threads of silk. She tugged one with her finger, expecting it to break, but found it unyielding, strong as iron. A voice whispered, "These are the chains you do not see, the beliefs you carry as truth." She awoke in a cold sweat, realizing the statues mirrored her hidden convictions. I am not worthy. I cannot succeed. I must remain unseen to stay safe. Such are the silent chains. They are not loud like fear, nor obvious like failure. They live quietly beneath awareness, shaped in childhood, forged in forgotten moments when words cut too deep or disappointments left scars. A teacher's careless remark, a parent's silence, a society's unspoken rules. These threads weave into the subconscious, convincing you that you are limited. Over time, you forget they were ever planted. You simply live them as truth. But what is believed without question becomes law, and so the woman convinced she is undeserving unconsciously sabotages her chances. The man who believes wealth corrupts quietly avoids prosperity. The child who once thought love must be earned grows into an adult who exhausts themselves for approval. These chains are not facts. They are stories inherited, absorbed, mistaken for reality. Marietta began a sacred practice. Each evening she sat before her work table and asked, "What belief am I carrying that no longer serves me?" At first nothing came. Then one night a memory surfaced of her grandmother's words. "Women in our family must be humble, never seeking more than what is given." She realized she had carried those words like gospel, chaining her growth. With tears streaming, she whispered, "Grandmother, I honor your life, but I release this belief. It is not mine to carry anymore." From that day, she began to challenge each hesitation with a simple test. Is this truth, or is it a chain? If it was a chain, she visualized breaking it, hearing the snap, and stepping beyond. Slowly, her business expanded, and with it, her sense of freedom. You too are bound by chains you cannot yet see. But know this, awareness is the key that dissolves them. Begin noticing every time you say, "I can't, I shouldn't, that's not for me." Ask yourself, whose voice is this? Where did I first learn it? In this gentle excavation, you discover the origins of your chains. Once seen, they lose their power. Remember, you are not trapped by the world, but by silent agreements made long ago. Agreements you are free to rewrite. And the moment you do, the walls of your life shift, revealing paths you never imagined were yours. Chapter 5. The Pause Before the Leap. Understanding the Power of Stillness. In a mountain village lived a boy named Silas, restless by nature. He raced through his days, leaping from task to task, eager to prove himself. Yet, though his effort was unending, his results remained meager. He planted seeds too quickly, watered them erratically, and uprooted them in impatience when they failed to sprout. Frustrated, he begged the village elder for guidance. The elder smiled and led him to a cliff overlooking the valley. "Leap," the elder instructed. Silas balked. "I will fall." The elder shook his head. "Not yet. First, wait." They stood in silence as wind whipped the cliff's edge. Minutes passed. Hours. Silas grew uneasy. Then, at last, a great updraft of air surged from the valley below, powerful enough to lift an eagle into effortless flight. The elder said, "Now." Silas stepped forward and instead of falling, was carried by the current. So it is with life. We rush, we push, we demand results before the moment is ripe. but every leap requires its pause, the stillness that gathers momentum, the silence where unseen forces align. Without the pause, the leap is premature. With it, the leap becomes flight. The pause is not weakness, it is gestation. Just as the seed rests in darkness before it breaks into life, just as night gathers strength before dawn, stillness prepares the ground for transformation. Too often, we interpret pause as failure. We assume delay means denial, but the pause is sacred alignment, arranging people, circumstances, and energies beyond your sight. Silas learned to embrace this rhythm. Each season he waited until the rains were steady before planting. Each deal he pursued only when his inner stillness confirmed the timing. And with each pause, his efforts multiplied in harvest. You too are invited to honor stillness. When progress slows, instead of fighting, lean into the pause. Ask, what is being prepared for me? What is aligning that I cannot yet see? Trust that life, like the wind beneath the eagle, is arranging the perfect conditions. Practice this. Each night before sleep, take 3 deep breaths and imagine yourself standing on the cliff. Feel the eagerness to leap, but choose stillness. Visualize the currents gathering, unseen but powerful. Whisper, I trust the pause, I trust the timing. When the wind rises, I will fly. For when the leap finally comes, it will not be effortful, it will be inevitable. Chapter 6. The Sacred Question, Unlocking Momentum with Inquiry. In a city of scholars lived Naomi, a young woman frustrated by endless confusion. She worked tirelessly, but felt directionless, as though wandering a labyrinth with no map. Each night she prayed for answers, but none came, until one evening a traveling sage told her, "You do not lack answers, you lack the right question." That night, Naomi dreamt of a great library, shelves stacked to the heavens. She searched frantically for the book that contained her future. Finally she collapsed, defeated. Then a voice whispered, "What is the question that burns in your heart?" She spoke aloud, "What step brings me closer to my purpose?" Instantly, a single book glowed. Opening it, she found her path illuminated. She awoke with tears of clarity. This is the power of the sacred question. The mind is a faithful servant. It seeks what you instruct it to. Most remain trapped, asking disempowering questions. Why am I stuck? Why do I fail? Why does nothing work for me? Such questions generate answers that reinforce despair. But a new question unlocks new momentum. What am I learning? Where is the opportunity? What is the next small step? The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you pose. Naomi began every night with inquiry, holding a single burning question before sleep. Each morning, impressions, dreams, and sudden insights arose, answers woven by her subconscious in the night. Slowly, her labyrinth unfolded into a clear path. You too hold this power. Choose one question each evening, not vague, not desperate, but precise, alive, and empowering. Whisper it into the night. Trust that your subconscious, vast as the cosmos, will search its infinite library and return with guidance. The universe is a mirror. When you ask small questions, you receive small answers. When you ask sacred questions, you open sacred doors. Chapter 7. The Power of One Shift. Micro movements that trigger avalanches. In the mountain ranges of the north lived a shepherd boy named Callum, who each winter stood before towering slopes of snow. The mountains loomed so vast, so unmoving, that he believed nothing could alter them. But one day, while guiding his sheep along a narrow pass, he dislodged a single stone with his staff. The stone rolled downward, striking another and then another, until suddenly the slope thundered alive, an avalanche cascading with unstoppable force. Callum stood trembling as the mountain shifted before his eyes. It was then he understood. What appears immovable may be transformed by the smallest of shifts. So it is with your own life. When you are frozen in the illusion of being stuck, you imagine that only massive leaps will change your course. A new career, a sudden fortune, an extraordinary revelation. And because such leaps seem impossible, you remain still. But the truth hidden in plain sight is this: change begins not with a giant leap, but with a single, faithful step. One micro-movement carries within it the seed of transformation, capable of unleashing avalanches of momentum. Consider the writer who dreams of finishing a book, but despairs at the enormity of it. They wait for inspiration, for a perfect day, for a stretch of free hours. None arrive. But when they commit to writing just one sentence each night before bed, a strange magic begins. The one sentence becomes a paragraph. The paragraph becomes a page. And soon the pages multiply like autumn leaves carried on the wind. A book is born not from a flood of inspiration, but from the patient trickle of daily drops. Or take Eleanor, a shopkeeper who lived under the weight of constant debt. She believed freedom was impossible unless she could earn a fortune. One evening, guided by the counsel of a traveling sage, she began setting aside a single coin each day. What could one coin matter, she thought. Yet within months, she noticed not just the growing pile of coins, but a shift in her mind. She no longer felt powerless. That single habit invited new creativity, new discipline. Within a year, opportunities unfolded, partnerships, ideas, and growth that lifted her entirely out of debt. It began with one coin, one shift. This is the hidden law. Energy responds to movement, however small. The universe is stirred not by perfection, but by motion. Like a door swollen shut in winter, your life may resist opening at first. But place your hand upon the handle, press gently each day, and soon the door gives way, swinging wide to horizons unseen. Ask yourself now, what is one small action you can take today toward the life you desire? Not the full mountain, not the final summit, but the single step. Perhaps it is speaking one word of kindness where silence ruled. Perhaps it is setting aside one moment each evening to envision the life you seek. Perhaps it is clearing one drawer, one corner, to signal your readiness for new abundance. The subconscious loves consistency. Each micro-movement is a message whispered to your deeper self. I am ready. I am moving. I am no longer stagnant. With each whisper, your subconscious awakens, aligning opportunities and pathways beyond your conscious sight. Callum never moved the mountain himself. He touched one stone and the mountain moved itself. So it is with you. Find your one stone, your single shift, and watch as the avalanche begins. Chapter 8. Vision Beyond Fog. Seeing possibilities where none appear. There was once a mariner named Seraphine, who lived by a sea often shrouded in fog. Many mornings she would stand at the harbor's edge and see nothing but gray curtains that swallowed the horizon. Sailors grumbled and cursed the fog, believing it proof that no journey could begin that day. But Seraphine was different. She had learned to listen with more than eyes. She closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and imagined the coastline she knew lay beyond the fog. She envisioned ships returning, sails full, even when no mast could be seen. And because she trained her vision beyond what was visible, she guided her vessel into the mist, trusting her compass and her inner sight. By evening, she returned with goods and stories, while others remained ashore, prisoners of what they could not see. This is the art of vision beyond fog. In your own life, the fog appears in many forms. Doubt that clouds your future, fear that obscures your gifts, circumstances that blur the horizon. You say to yourself, there is no way forward because the path is not visible to your waking eyes. But just as the horizon exists, whether seen or not, possibility surrounds you even when cloaked. The question is, do you trust what lies beyond the fog? The subconscious is a faithful painter. Whatever image you hold with consistency, It begins to render in the quiet studio of your mind. If you hold only the gray, you manifest more gray. But if you dare to hold an image of clarity, abundance, freedom, even before it appears, you begin to summon it. Consider the tale of Tomas, a craftsman who longed to open a school for apprentices, but saw no resources, no building, no support. To his waking eyes, there was only fog. But each night before sleep, he envisioned walking through bright halls filled with eager students. He heard their laughter, saw their progress, felt the pride of teaching. These visions stirred not only his own spirit, but attracted allies. A neighbor offered him an unused barn, a merchant donated tools. Soon his dream emerged from the mist into solid form. Vision beyond fog is not denial. It does not pretend obstacles do not exist. Rather, it recognizes that obstacles are temporary weather, while truth lies beyond. When fog thickens, you do not despair that the ocean has vanished. You remember it waits unseen, so too with your path. When circumstances blind you, close your physical eyes and open your inner ones. Imagine what lies beyond the veil. See yourself already there, already living the possibility. Trust your inner compass, your intuition, to steer you even when visibility is low. For the fog is not your enemy. It exists to sharpen your inner sight, to test whether you will trust vision that rises from within rather than sight alone. And when you do, you will find that fog always lifts. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Be like Seraphine, who sailed not by what her eyes could see, but by what her soul knew to be true. For those who trust vision beyond fog return with treasures others only dream of. Chapter 9. The Language of Energy. Aligning with the frequency of freedom. In the heart of an ancient desert lived a musician named Leora, who carried with her a strange instrument carved from crystal. She claimed that when she played, it was not merely sound, but language, the speech of energy itself. Villagers laughed, hearing only notes. Yet those who lingered noticed changes. Heavy hearts grew lighter. Disputes dissolved. Sick children stirred with strength. What seemed like mere music was the tuning of energy, aligning souls with harmony. All of life speaks in this hidden tongue, the trees swaying to unseen winds, the rivers pulsing with current. Even your own being vibrates, broadcasting an energetic signature that shapes the experiences drawn to you. Freedom, joy, abundance, these are not destinations but frequencies. To live them, you must tune yourself to their wavelength. Think of a radio. Stations are not created when you turn the dial. They already exist, filling the air. You simply align your receiver. So too with life. Possibilities already surround you. The frequency you embody determines which station you experience. If you vibrate at fear, you receive fear. If you resonate with courage, you draw courage. Elias, a merchant, once felt cursed. Every venture failed, every partnership soured. But one evening he attended Leora's music by the fire. Something stirred within him, lightness, hope, a sense of possibility. That night, for the first time in years, he fell asleep whispering words of gratitude instead of complaint. His energy shifted. Within weeks, he noticed new patterns. Customers lingered longer. Strangers greeted him kindly. Opportunities arrived unbidden. It was not magic. It was resonance. He had tuned his inner instrument differently, and the world responded. To align with the frequency of freedom, begin with awareness of your current broadcast. What thoughts hum through your mind as you drift to sleep? What emotions ripple through your body at dawn? These vibrations ripple outward, attracting mirrors. If you wish to change the reflection, you must first change the frequency you emit. There is no force greater than consistent resonance. Speak words of freedom even when circumstances feel confining. Feel gratitude even in smallness. Imagine expansion even within narrow walls. As you repeat, your subconscious accepts this new vibration, and your outer life rearranges itself to match. Lyora's crystal instrument was not unique. You are your own instrument. Your thoughts, your feelings, your breath are the strings. Each night as you prepare for rest, you may strum them gently. Gratitude, hope, joy. With practice, your frequency stabilizes, and the universe sings back in harmony. When you align with freedom, doors do not merely open, they swing wide of their own accord, for energy recognizes itself, and when you radiate freedom, freedom comes to meet you. Chapter 10. The Courage Spark. How Bravery Multiplies Openings. In the heart of a sprawling city lived a glassmaker named Elric. His hands were steady, his skill revered, yet his spirit carried an unspoken ache. Every day he crafted delicate vessels, flawless in design, but his greatest creation, a shimmering glass dome unlike anything seen before, remained hidden in his workshop. For years he polished it in secret, never daring to reveal it. Why? Because the voice of fear told him he was not ready, that ridicule would shatter him, that it was safer to keep his masterpiece unseen. And so the dome gathered dust, the city never knowing the light it could refract. One evening, as Elric worked late, a fire sparked in a nearby building. Flames spread swiftly, threatening to devour the homes around him. The villagers panicked, scrambling for buckets of water. Elric looked at his dome, glowing faintly in the fire's light, and without hesitation, he rolled it into the street. The dome magnified the moonlight, bending beams of silver across the square. The villagers saw it and, inspired, formed a line, their fear dissolving. United under the shimmering glow, they battled the flames until dawn. When morning broke, the fire was gone, and Elric's dome stood gleaming in the center of the square, now celebrated as the heart of the town. He had waited years for courage, and yet it appeared not in comfort, but in crisis. A spark that once lit multiplied itself endlessly. From that moment, his workshop no longer hid his creations. Elric understood a truth that the ancients had whispered for centuries. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward in its presence. Every great opening in life begins with this spark. You wait, thinking bravery must come fully formed, but it arrives as a flicker. When you act on it, that flicker becomes flame, and that flame, in turn, ignites more possibilities than you could have calculated in silence. The subconscious mind expands through action. Each courageous step declares to it, I am capable, I am worthy, I am free. Once it learns this rhythm, it hungers for more. The very act of courage creates a cascade of openings, opportunities that could not have been seen from the place of hesitation. Think of a locked door. You may stand before it, trembling, but the moment you touch the handle, you find it was never locked. It only required the gesture of reaching. Life itself responds in the same way. The spark of bravery does not simply open one door, it floods the hallway with light, revealing doors you never knew existed. Ask yourself now, what is the one action I have delayed because of fear? Do not wait for the fear to vanish. Step forward with it in your chest, trembling if you must. That single step will multiply into 10, then 100. Courage, once sparked, grows like wildfire. Remember Elric's dome. One act of bravery not only saved a town, but transformed his destiny. You too carry within you a hidden masterpiece waiting for the spark. Strike it and the world will never be the same. Chapter 11. The Breath of Release, Dissolving Resistance Through Presence. Far to the east, there lived a healer named Anara, who welcomed travelers into her home by the river. She carried no potions, no herbs, no remedies crafted from rare ingredients. Instead, she possessed only her presence and her breath. Villagers would come burdened with grief, anger, or endless anxiety, and she would sit with them beneath a willow tree. There she would guide them. Close your eyes. Feel the weight you carry. Now breathe it out. At first, the villagers scoffed. Could simple breathing undo years of pain? But as they followed her rhythm, they felt something stir. Their shoulders softened, their hearts loosened, their minds unclenched. What they had resisted, battled, and suppressed for years began to dissolve like mist in morning sun. One evening, a merchant arrived, trembling with worry. His trade had collapsed, his debts growing, and his chest felt like stone. He told Anara, "I am stuck. I cannot breathe." She smiled and said, "Then breathe with me." At first, his breaths were shallow, jagged. She encouraged him, "Inhale through your heart, exhale through your fear. Inhale trust, exhale doubt." Slowly, his body obeyed, his face softened. By the time the stars appeared, his weight had lessened. He left not with new riches, but with clarity, a clear mind to begin again. This is the power of release. Resistance is not only a thought, it is a tension woven into the body, a holding in the muscles, a constriction of breath. When you resist, your subconscious interprets it as danger, keeping you locked in survival. But when you breathe with presence, you send a new signal. I am safe, I am open. Breath is the bridge between conscious and subconscious, between body and spirit. Each exhale releases more than air. It dissolves the clenched fists of your inner resistance. Each inhale fills the fertile soil of possibility. With practice, you discover that presence itself is medicine, and breath is its carrier. Try this ritual as you drift toward sleep. Place your hand upon your chest. Breathe in deeply, imagining light entering your being. Hold it gently, then exhale, visualizing every doubt, fear, and tension leaving with the breath. Continue until your body feels like water, fluid and open. In this state, your subconscious receives suggestions freely, unburdened by the old knots of resistance. Anara healed not by adding more, but by removing the weight her visitors carried. You too must remember, to move forward you do not always need to push harder. Sometimes you need only to release and let the current carry you. Chapter 12. The Mirror of Truth. Facing Yourself Without Fear. In a coastal town lived a woman named Selina who avoided mirrors. Though her beauty was evident to all, she could not stand the reflection of her own eyes. Each morning she would hurry past polished glass, muttering to herself the criticisms she had memorized from others. Not enough, never enough. The mirror was her enemy, for it revealed what she most feared, herself. One night, exhausted by years of avoidance, she dreamt of a great hall lined with endless mirrors. She ran from each one, covering her face, until a voice echoed through the chamber. "What you flee is not your reflection, but your truth." She turned and for the first time looked deeply. What she saw was not imperfection, but strength. Her scars told of survival. Her eyes held oceans. Her face was the map of her becoming. She awoke in tears, knowing the dream had handed her the key she had long avoided. The mirror was not there to punish her, but to reveal her wholeness. Facing yourself is the most sacred courage. The external world can only reflect what you already carry inside. When you avoid yourself, you remain trapped in illusions woven by fear. But when you gaze without judgment, you see the truth. You are not broken, only becoming. The subconscious absorbs your self-perception. If you feed it contempt, it creates barriers at every turn. But if you honor your reflection, even with trembling hands, it begins to construct a life that mirrors self-acceptance. Each loving glance rewrites years of internal resistance. Try this practice. Stand before a mirror in dim light. Breathe softly. Look into your own eyes, not with criticism, but with curiosity. Speak 3 truths. I have endured. I am worthy. I carry beauty in my being. Let the words settle. Your subconscious will drink them like seeds of new growth. Selina eventually welcomed mirrors into her home, not as judges, but as companions. Each glance became a reminder of her resilience, her capacity, her divine essence. She walked taller and doors opened where once they had remained closed. For when you face yourself without fear, the world no longer frightens you. Truth becomes your ally, and the mirror your sacred teacher. Chapter 13. The Ritual of Gratitude, Turning Lack into Abundance Fuel. In a modest village surrounded by golden fields of grain, there lived a widow named Callista. Though the world around her bloomed with plenty, she carried within her a constant heaviness. Each morning she awoke not to the sound of birds, but to the drum of her own thoughts. I do not have enough. My life is missing what I need. Others prosper while I remain in want. Her home grew darker each season, not because she lacked food or shelter, but because her heart rehearsed lack as though it were a sacred song. The walls seemed to shrink, her purse to empty, her days to hollow. Villagers would offer kind words or small gifts, yet she dismissed them with sighs. "It is not enough," she whispered. One evening, an elder visited her home carrying nothing but a candle. He placed it on her table, lit it, and watched the flame sway. "Tell me," he said, "what do you see?" Callista frowned. "A small flame, a weak light in my darkness. It cannot change my night." The elder smiled and replied, "Then you have misunderstood. This small flame already drives shadows away, and if you tend it, it grows. Gratitude is the tending of the flame. Where you see little, you will find much. Where you bless what you already hold, more will be drawn to you." That night, Callista could not sleep. She stared at the candle and whispered, "Thank you for this light." Something in her shifted. The next morning, she stood in her doorway, looked at the rising sun, and whispered again, "Thank you for this dawn." She repeated the ritual with her bread, her water, the worn chair that held her weight, the roof that shielded her, and slowly her world began to change. The villagers noticed her smile. Her home, once heavy with shadow, now glowed with warmth. Opportunities flowed toward her, work, friendship, laughter. The more she blessed, the more life answered. For gratitude is not mere politeness. It is a magnetic force that transforms lack into abundance, fuel. When you dwell on absence, your subconscious accepts it as law. It says, "This is reality, scarcity, emptiness, want." And so your actions, your energy, your very posture align with lack. But when you speak gratitude, even for the smallest breath, you tell the subconscious, "I am already abundant." And the mind, faithful servant, begins to create experiences that reflect abundance. Gratitude is not denial. It does not ignore your challenges. Instead, it transfigures them. The ancient mystics taught that appreciation is the alchemy that turns struggle into gold. When you are grateful for your strength in the storm itself becomes fuel for growth. When you thank the closed door for teaching patience, you signal readiness for the next one to open. Gratitude is the key that unlocks hidden abundance already waiting in your life. Make it your ritual. Each evening before sleep, sit quietly and whisper 3 gratitudes. Let them be specific and heartfelt. I am thankful for the laughter I heard today. I am thankful for the meal that nourished me. I am thankful for the lesson in my struggle. Speak them until they soften your chest, until warmth rises within you. Then add 3 more, not for what is, but for what is becoming. I am thankful for the opportunities arriving. I am thankful for the love growing within me. I am thankful for the prosperity unfolding. Your subconscious, cradled in the twilight of sleep, will hold these words like seeds planted in fertile soil. Through the night it will water them with dreams, weave them into new patterns, and by morning you will feel the subtle shift, lighter, freer, more open. Callista's story is not only hers, it is yours. Where you see only a small flame, gratitude invites you to tend it until it becomes a fire that illuminates every corner of your life. Where you once whispered not enough, you will declare more than enough. And life, always listening, will echo your declaration. So tonight, hold gratitude as your sacred ritual. Let it be the lamp that guides you through lack, the melody that turns silence into song, the key that opens doors hidden by shadows. For gratitude is not the result of abundance, it is the origin. And once you master this truth, abundance must follow, as surely as the dawn follows the night. Chapter 14. The Voice of Command, Speaking Reality into Existence. In a bustling city of traders lived a man named Leontius, known not for wealth nor influence, but for his quiet resignation. Each morning he muttered the same phrase as he opened his shop: "Nothing changes, nothing improves. This is my lot." His words, spoken with casual despair, shaped his days. Customers passed by without noticing him, deals slipped through his hands, and his home grew as silent as his spirit. One evening a traveling mystic entered his shop. She studied the shelves, then looked at Leontius and asked, "Why do you speak against yourself?" He shrugged. "I only describe what is." The mystic touched her lips gently and said, "Your words are not descriptions, they are decrees. Every time you speak, you command reality. What you call forth comes rushing to obey." That night, Leontius lay awake. Could it be that his mutterings were not harmless laments, but incantations shaping his fate? He decided to test the idea. The next morning, though his shop looked no different, he stood at the door and declared aloud, "This day brings prosperity. Customers come eager. My work flourishes." His voice trembled at first, but he repeated it until it steadied. To his astonishment, the day unfolded differently. A new customer lingered, bought more than expected, and promised to return with friends. The following morning, Leontius declared again, louder this time, with greater conviction. Soon his business shifted, not by accident, but by command. He learned that the tongue is a scepter, and each word either builds a throne or digs a grave. Your subconscious listens with perfect loyalty. It takes your words not as idle chatter, but as law. Say, "I am unlucky," and it arranges patterns to confirm it. Say, "I am blessed," and it conspires to align with that truth. Words are seeds. Once planted, they grow. The soil does not question whether the seed is of thorn or rose. It nurtures whatever you give it. The ancients practiced the art of sacred declaration. They understood that sound carries vibration, and vibration shapes matter. The universe itself was said to have been sung into being, the first utterance unfolding into stars. When you speak, you echo that creative force. The question is not whether your voice creates, but what it creates. Practice the ritual of command. Each morning before the day begins, stand tall and speak aloud 3 declarations of the reality you choose. Not wishes, not hopes, commands as though already true. I am a magnet for opportunity. I walk in health and strength. My life flows with abundance. Say them not timidly, but with the authority of one who knows they are creator. At night, before sleep, repeat them again. Let the words vibrate through your chest. Let them echo in your bones. Your subconscious, most receptive in the twilight state, will take them as law and set about weaving your tomorrow accordingly. Leontius became known throughout the city, not for resignation, but for radiance. His shop flourished, his relationships deepened, and people marveled at his transformation. When asked his secret, he would smile and reply, "I spoke it into being. So too will you." When you choose your words with reverence, when you speak with command rather than complaint, reality bends, for you were never powerless. Your voice is the bridge between thought and form. Wield it wisely, and the world must answer. Chapter 15. The Hidden Compass, Following Intuitive Signals. In the deep forest lived a hunter named Alaric. Unlike others, he carried no maps, no guides, no markings to find his way. Yet he never became lost. When asked how he managed, he simply pressed his hand to his chest and said, "I follow the compass within." One winter, a young apprentice begged to travel with him. They walked through tangled paths, snow falling heavy, branches creaking with frost. The apprentice grew nervous, for no markers guided them. "How will we find our way?" he whispered. Alaric smiled. "Listen, not with ears, but with being. The forest speaks, and your inner compass translates." As they walked, Alaric paused suddenly. "Here," he said, "turn left." The apprentice saw only thickets and shadows, but he obeyed. Soon the path opened to a clearing where game waited. Again and again Alaric trusted subtle nudges, a pull to stop, a feeling to move, a whisper within, and each time they led him to safety and sustenance. This is the hidden compass we all carry, intuition. It does not shout, it does not argue. It nudges, whispers, stirs. It says, "Call this person," or "Take this road," or "Wait a little longer." Yet most ignore it, favoring logic or dismissing it as imagination. But when honored, it reveals a map far greater than reason could chart. Your subconscious is vast, storing every pattern, every detail, every connection your conscious mind overlooks. It gathers signals from your body, your emotions, your environment, and translates them as intuition. It is the voice of your deeper self, guiding you toward alignment. The trouble is not that it fails to speak, but that you fail to listen. The hidden compass thrives in stillness. When you quiet the noise of fear and distraction, you feel its gentle tug. At night, before sleep, ask a question of direction. What step will bring me closer to my highest good? Then release the question. Dreams may carry symbols, mornings may bring sudden clarity, or coincidences may unfold as signs. Your task is simply to remain open. Practice honoring the compass. Begin small. When you feel the nudge to call someone, do it. When you sense to wait before acting, pause. Keep a journal of these inner signals and the outcomes. You will begin to see a pattern. The compass is trustworthy. Each time you follow, the signal grows stronger, the path clearer. Alaric's apprentice, once skeptical, returned from their journey with new eyes. He realized maps can only guide where others have gone, but the compass within leads to places unseen, paths uniquely yours. So it is for you. Life may not offer certainty, but it offers signals. The inner compass will not reveal the entire road, but it will always point to the next step. Follow it, and the forest of your life becomes less a maze and more a dance. When doors seem closed, when choices confuse, return to your compass. Breathe, quiet yourself, and listen. The direction may not make sense to logic, but trust that it is the alignment of your deeper self guiding you forward. In following it, you will find paths you never imagined, and opportunities that seem to appear as miracles. For the compass is not hidden at all. It has always been within you, waiting for you to honor its gentle pull. Chapter 16. The Alchemy of Failure, Transmuting Setbacks into Propulsion. In the heart of a bustling marketplace lived Sabine, a merchant whose stall brimmed with spices from distant lands. She had dreamed of creating the grandest trading house in the city, yet her ventures seemed cursed. Shipments sank in storms, partners betrayed her trust, and customers dwindled. Each evening she sat alone, lamenting, "Failure stalks me like a shadow. Perhaps I am not meant to succeed." One night, as she wandered the empty market square, she met a blind storyteller who sat weaving tales to the stars. She confessed her misfortunes to him, expecting pity, but the old man laughed gently. "Child, you misunderstand failure. It is not your enemy. It is the fire that tempers your metal. Gold must meet flame before it shines. Do you wish to remain dull, or will you become radiant?" That night, Sabine dreamed of standing at a furnace. Her losses and disappointments lay before her as chunks of raw ore. When she placed them into the flames of acceptance, they melted, transformed into liquid gold. Upon waking, she felt a shift. Failure had not ended her path. It had prepared her for it. The truth is this: every failure holds within it the seed of advancement. What seems like collapse is often the compost that nourishes your next season. Your subconscious, however, must be trained to see it so. Left unchecked, it interprets failure as proof of limitation, building walls of hesitation. But when you reframe failure as instruction, your mind learns to translate setback into strategy. Consider the alchemy. Rejection teaches resilience. Loss reveals hidden strength. Mistakes sharpen clarity. Each time you stumble, you are given data that success alone cannot provide. The universe is not punishing, it is refining. The practice is simple, though not always easy. Each time failure arrives, pause. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How is this shaping me stronger, wiser, more prepared? Write the answers. Speak gratitude, even through clenched teeth. Thank you for this lesson, though it stings. By reframing, you train your subconscious to convert pain into power. Sabine returned to the market with renewed resolve. She rebuilt her business slowly, this time with sharper contracts, better partners, and deeper patience. Within years, her trading house rose greater than before. When praised for her success, she smiled and said, "I built this empire from the ashes of my failures. Without them, I would never have known my strength." So it is for you. Failure is not final, it is alchemy. What appears as ruin is raw material. Place it into the furnace of gratitude and learning, and it becomes gold. Chapter 17. The Threshold Test. Why resistance intensifies before breakthrough. In the ancient hills stood a gate carved into stone, said to guard the entrance to a hidden valley of abundance. Generations of seekers tried to pass through, yet each turned back. For as they approached the gate, storms would rise, winds would howl, and doubts would thunder within their minds. They believed the valley was unreachable. One day, a young woman named Alara dared the journey. As she neared the gate, the storm roared louder than she had ever known. Fear surged. "Turn back. You will be destroyed." But a voice within whispered, "This is not your ending. It is your test." She pressed forward, step by trembling step, until she touched the gate. To her amazement, the storm dissolved into stillness. The valley opened, and sunlight poured through. This is the threshold test. Whenever you near a breakthrough, resistance rises strongest. Not because you are failing, but because you are close. The subconscious, patterned by old fears, throws its loudest objections at the edge of transformation. Doubt, fatigue, sudden chaos, they appear as if the universe is closing against you. Yet in truth, it is only the last veil before arrival. The test asks, will you give up at the door or will you step through? Most retreat, believing the storm is proof of impossibility. But those who persist discover that resistance is an illusion designed to protect the old self from dissolution. Your comfort zone clings desperately, whispering warnings, amplifying fear, yet beyond lies the very freedom you seek. When resistance intensifies, reframe it. I am near the threshold. This storm is my signal, not my defeat. Breathe deeply, take one more step, one more action. Hold your intention firm. Alara entered the valley and found it overflowing with fruit, rivers, and treasures. But more than riches, she found the knowing that storms are not obstacles, but guardians. They appear to test resolve, then vanish when courage is proven. So it is with your life. When the pressure feels unbearable, when every doubt screams loudest, recognize the gate is near. Press forward and the storm will dissolve. Chapter 18. The Shift of Identity. Becoming the version of you who moves. In a quiet coastal town lived Thomas, a fisherman who longed for greater things. He watched ships sail to distant lands, merchants grow wealthy, leaders inspire crowds. Yet whenever he tried to step forward, he felt dragged back. Who am I to live such a life, he wondered. One evening he met an elder sailor who had seen many ports. The man studied Tomas and said, "You wait for your life to change before you change. But the secret is this: you must first become the man who already lives that life. Then the world will follow." That night, Tomas dreamed of standing in two bodies. In one, he remained the hesitant fisherman. In the other, he stood tall, confident, already living the life he desired. When he stepped into the second body, the world around him rearranged. Doors opened, people greeted him differently, opportunities flowed. He awoke with a new understanding. Change begins not with circumstance, but with identity. Your subconscious anchors itself to who you believe you are. If you see yourself as unworthy, every action, every choice will align with that identity. But when you shift your self-concept, I am capable, I am powerful, I am destined for more, you activate a new pattern. Reality begins to reflect your new self. The practice is to embody before arrival. Each night, close your eyes and imagine the version of you who already lives your desired reality. How do they walk? How do they speak? What energy radiates from them? Feel it until your body believes it. Speak as they would speak. Act as they would act. Step into their identity before evidence arrives. Tomas began to carry himself differently. He spoke with confidence, offered his ideas, treated himself as one of worth. Soon, merchants invited him aboard, opportunities unfolded, and within years, he became the leader he once only admired. Identity is the soil of destiny. When you shift who you are in your own eyes, the world has no choice but to rearrange. Become first, and the rest follows. Chapter 19. The Bridge of Belief. Walking Thoughts into Matter. In the valley of Aramor lived a shepherd named Kalin, who dreamed of building a sanctuary where travelers could find rest. Each night he whispered his dream to the stars, but each morning he dismissed it with the same thought. It is impossible for me. I am only a shepherd. Years passed and the dream remained a distant flame. One day, while guiding his flock along a ravine, Kalin saw a bridge spanning the chasm. It was old, crooked, swaying in the wind. Still, it carried him safely across. At the far side, he met a wandering monk who said, "The bridge exists because someone believed they could cross. Belief always builds the way." That night, Kalin reflected, perhaps his sanctuary did not exist, because his belief was too weak to form the bridge. He decided to test it. Each evening he began to imagine the sanctuary as if already built. The warm glow of lanterns, the laughter of travelers, the scent of food cooking within. Each time doubt arose, he reminded himself, belief is the bridge. I walk it step by step. Over time, his energy shifted. He began speaking of his vision to others. Friends offered help. Materials appeared. Slowly, stone by stone, the sanctuary rose. And one day, Kalin stood at its doorway, realizing the bridge had been built not by wood or rope, but by belief. So it is for you. Thoughts alone flutter like birds. They inspire but do not anchor. Action alone often falters if unsupported by conviction. But belief weaves the unseen into the seen. It is the bridge your subconscious requires to align with possibility. When you declare, "I believe this is for me," your mind organizes itself around that truth. Doubt builds gaps in the bridge. Belief strengthens each plank. The world does not wait for you to prove yourself. It waits for you to believe yourself. The practice. Each night before sleep, choose one vision. Close your eyes and walk it in your imagination. Feel the floor beneath your feet. Hear the voices. Taste the joy. Speak aloud, "I believe this is mine." Over time, your subconscious accepts this belief as reality, and reality bends to match it. Kalen's sanctuary still stands, a beacon of what belief can create. The bridge is always there, waiting for your step. Chapter 20. The Power of Surrender, when letting go creates the opening. On a windswept coast lived Mira, a fisherwoman who fought the sea daily. She pulled against the tides, railed against the storms, cursed when nets returned empty. Her heart carried a constant struggle. I must control, I must force. But the harder she grasped, the tighter life resisted. One night, exhausted, she lay in her boat staring at the sky. She whispered, "I cannot fight anymore." In that moment, she felt something soften. The waves rocked her gently, the stars shimmered, and for the first time, she released her grip. She allowed the current to carry her. By dawn, she awoke on the shore of a hidden cove overflowing with fish. What striving had denied, surrender revealed. Surrender is not defeat. It is the sacred art of release, the recognition that forcing shuts doors, but trust opens them. Your subconscious holds tightly to control. When fear whispers, "If I do not push, nothing will come." Yet the universe flows like water. It resists clenched fists, but it fills open hands. Consider the seed. It does not claw at the soil, demanding to sprout. It surrenders to the earth, to the rhythm of rain and sun. In that surrender lies its power to bloom. So too must you learn to let go, not of intention, but of attachment. Desire with clarity, then release the demand of how and when. The practice, each night before sleep, place your intention into your heart like a gift. Speak it once with clarity, then whisper, "I surrender this to the wisdom beyond me. I trust it is unfolding in perfect timing." Feel the release in your body, as if exhaling a long-held breath. Sleep becomes a sacred act of trust, where your subconscious can work without resistance. Mira's life transformed not when she mastered the sea, but when she allowed the sea to master her flow. She discovered that surrender does not diminish power. It multiplies it, for the universe rushes in when you finally step aside. Chapter 21. The Magnet of Momentum, How Small Wins Multiply. In the kingdom of Elowin lived a stonecutter named Rian. He dreamed of carving monuments so magnificent that they would stand for generations. But the vision overwhelmed him. "The task is too great. I will never begin," he sighed. For years he delayed, paralyzed by the weight of perfection. One day, an old friend challenged him. "Do not carve a monument, carve a single stone. Begin where you are." Reluctantly, Ryan agreed. He lifted his chisel and shaped one block, then another, then another. Each stone taught his hand. Each cut built confidence. Soon villagers gathered to watch his work. Within months, his half-finished monument towered, drawing admiration. Ryan realized a secret. Momentum is the true magnet of success. One action begets another, and with each small victory, energy multiplies. The subconscious, once sluggish with doubt, awakens with excitement when it sees progress. It whispers, "We are moving, let us continue." What felt impossible yesterday becomes inevitable tomorrow. Momentum does not require grand acts. It thrives on the smallest wins. A call made, a habit formed, a word written. Each win is fuel, gathering like snow on a hillside until it rushes forward unstoppable. Your practice. Create rituals of tiny triumphs. Each morning set one action that feels achievable. Celebrate it fully when done, no matter how small. Tell your subconscious, "We succeed, we move, we build." Over time, these celebrations condition the mind to crave forward motion. Momentum is contagious. As Ryan's work grew, helpers arrived, materials flowed, commissions multiplied. His monument became not only his own, but a symbol of what steady momentum creates. He smiled one evening, running his hands along the stone, whispering, "It began with one cut. So it is with you. Do not wait for energy to arrive. Create it. Move once, then again, then again. Momentum becomes your magnet, pulling opportunity, people, and miracles into your orbit. The world loves motion. Begin, and it will move with you." Chapter 22, The Allies of Destiny. People who appear when you shift. In a quiet village along the trade road lived Seraphine, a seamstress with dreams far larger than her small cottage could contain. She longed to craft garments that would grace royal courts, to see her name whispered with reverence across cities. Yet she worked in silence, stitching for local farmers, convinced she must walk her path alone. "No one will help me. I have only myself," she often murmured. One evening, exhausted from labor, she sat by candlelight and recalled her grandmother's words. "Destiny is not a solitary path. The moment you rise to meet your dream, allies rise with you." Though skeptical, she decided to test it. She whispered into the night, "If help exists, let it find me." Then she returned to her sewing, but something in her posture had changed. Her shoulders lifted, her eyes brightened, her heart softened with possibility. Within weeks, a traveling merchant noticed her work. He offered to carry her garments to distant markets. A noblewoman saw one of her gowns and became a patron. Soon others gathered around her, a network of allies she could never have orchestrated alone. Her shift from isolation to openness drew them like moths to flame. This is the law of alignment. When you elevate your energy, when you step toward your vision, people appear. They are not accidents, they are summoned. The subconscious mind, attuned to your new state, becomes magnetic to those who carry the missing pieces of your journey. Alone, you can walk only so far. With allies, you cross oceans. The danger lies in believing help will not come. That belief builds walls. But the moment you expect allies, your subconscious searches for them, your eyes notice them, and your words invite them. The practice. Each evening, name aloud the kind of ally you are ready to receive. I welcome mentors who guide me. I welcome companions who share my vision. I welcome opportunities carried by others' hands. Speak with faith. Then watch as connections arrive through conversation, chance meetings, unexpected introductions. Seraphine's gowns eventually adorned queens and brides in distant lands. When asked how she achieved it, she smiled and said, "I did not walk alone. Destiny sent me friends the moment I believed they existed. So it will be for you. Allies wait in the shadows, ready to step forward when you shift. Destiny is never solitary. It is a chorus, and your voice is waiting for others to join." Chapter 23. The Mystery of Timing. Why Doors Open Suddenly. In the desert kingdom of Aloria lived Idris, a scholar who studied the stars. He mapped constellations, tracked movements of planets, and believed the heavens whispered secrets to those patient enough to listen. He also carried a dream, to teach in the great academy of the capital. For years he applied, but each petition was denied. He grew bitter, convinced fate had overlooked him. One night, an old astronomer visited his study. She saw his frustration and said gently, "You are like a farmer digging at frozen ground. Angry, the seed will not sprout. The problem is not the seed, it is the season." Idris reflected perhaps timing was not against him, but preparing him. He decided to continue his work without forcing. He studied, taught local children, wrote essays. Then, one spring, a messenger from the academy arrived. They had read his work, recognized its brilliance, and invited him at last. Idris realized the doors had not been closed forever. They had been waiting for the appointed season. This is the mystery of timing. Life unfolds not on your demand, but on the rhythm of alignment. Your subconscious may resist, screaming for immediacy, but the greater intelligence of the universe knows when conditions are fertile. A door that resists today may swing wide tomorrow with effortless ease. The lesson: delays are not denials. They are ripening, just as fruit must mature before harvest. Your dream may need seasons of unseen growth. The danger is in quitting just before the fruit is ready. The practice: when frustration rises, place your hand on your heart and whisper, "The timing is perfect, even if unseen. I trust the season is ripening." Release the pressure of control and continue preparing, sharpening, learning. When the door opens, and it will, you will be ready to walk through. Idris thrived in the academy, not bitter at the years lost, but grateful. He realized those years had ripened his wisdom. His timing was not late, it was perfect. So it is with you. Doors open suddenly only because they were being prepared quietly all along. Trust the unseen clock. Chapter 24. The Quantum Choice. Choosing realities that already exist. On the cliffs of Caladriel lived a dreamer named Elian. He often stood at the edge of the sea, imagining different versions of himself. One a sailor who braved storms, another a poet whose verses touched kingdoms, another a farmer who lived in quiet peace. Each possibility felt alive, as though waiting just beyond the veil. But he remained paralyzed, asking, "Which life is mine?" One evening a mystic joined him at the cliffs. She said, "All versions of you exist, shimmering in the field of possibility. The question is not which is yours. The question is which you will choose." That night, Elian dreamed of walking a great hall lined with mirrors. In each reflection, he saw himself living a different destiny. Some mirrors glowed warmly, others felt dim. He understood then, the realities were already alive. His task was to choose the one that resonated, step into it, and live as though it were already true. This is the principle of quantum choice. Every potential exists in the field of infinite possibility. Your subconscious tunes into the reality you embody. When you align thought, feeling, and action with a chosen version, the world around you begins to mirror it. It is not fantasy, it is resonance. The danger is drifting between mirrors, never choosing. Indecision scatters energy, but choice concentrates it like a laser. When you choose, your subconscious organizes all resources, all signals, all momentum toward that line of reality. The practice: each night, close your eyes and imagine the hall of mirrors. Walk slowly until one reflection calls to you with unmistakable clarity. Step through it in your mind. Feel yourself living that life. Speak as that person. Act as that person. Carry their energy. As you sleep, let your subconscious weave this chosen reality into your being. Elian finally chose the poet's life. He lived with conviction, and within years his verses traveled farther than any ship could sail. When asked how he found such destiny, he said, "I chose it, and then it chose me back." So it is with you. Infinite lives shimmer around you. The one you live is not assigned, but selected. Choose, and the universe will rearrange to honor your decision. Chapter 25. The River Flow. Living where effort feels effortless. In the mountain highlands lived Thalen, a woodcutter who labored from dawn until dusk. His muscles ached, his hands blistered, yet his piles of timber were smaller than others who seemed to work with ease. He grumbled, "I must work harder, I must push more." But the harder he pushed, the heavier the work became. One morning, while struggling to drag a massive log, he saw an elder fisherman by the river. The man cast his net gently, letting the current carry it. Within minutes, the net shimmered with fish. Thalen frowned and shouted, "Why do your efforts prosper while mine fail?" The fisherman smiled and said, "Because I do not fight the river, I flow with it." That night Thalen dreamed of entering the river himself. At first he resisted, thrashing, but then he relaxed. The current lifted him, carried him easily downstream. He awoke with the revelation: life is not conquered by strain, but by alignment. When you flow with your deeper rhythm, effort becomes effortless. So it is with you. There is a current beneath your life, an invisible pull toward alignment. When you fight it, forcing, striving, clenching, progress slows. But when you attune, doors open, timing synchronizes, and what once felt uphill becomes natural. The subconscious thrives when given signals of flow. Each time you push from desperation, it interprets scarcity. Each time you breathe, soften, and trust, it interprets abundance. The practice is to release struggle and invite alignment. Each evening, sit quietly. Recall where in your day you fought, strained, or resisted. Then ask, how would this look if I flowed instead of forced? Let your breath guide you. Imagine the current carrying you. As you drift into sleep, hold the image of water lifting and guiding you. By morning, subtle shifts will emerge. Conversations easier, opportunities smoother, tasks lighter. Thalen no longer broke his body against logs. He learned to work with rhythm, choosing wood already seasoned, cutting in harmony with grain, allowing tools to glide. His yield doubled, yet his effort halved. People marveled, and he simply replied, I discovered the river within, so must you. Seek not endless effort, seek the current. Life is designed for flow, not for struggle. Chapter 26. The Dance with Fear. Moving with it, not against it. In a bustling port lived Neris, a dancer renowned for grace. Yet in her private life she was paralyzed, afraid to speak her truth, afraid to risk, afraid to love. She tried to banish fear, locking it away, but it always returned. Stronger, louder. One night after a performance, she lingered alone on the stage. She felt fear rise again, whispering, you will fail, you will be rejected. But instead of resisting, she did something different. She began to dance with it. She moved her body as if the fear itself were her partner. She spun, twirled, bowed, letting fear lead, then guiding it in turn. To her surprise, fear softened. It no longer felt like an enemy, but like a shadow wanting to be acknowledged. From then on, whenever fear appeared, Neris no longer fled. She invited it into the dance. She asked, what do you want me to learn? Fear whispered lessons about caution, about courage, about desire. Instead of shrinking her, fear became fuel. Her art deepened, her choices widened, her life blossomed. Fear is not meant to vanish. It is meant to be danced with. It arises not to harm, but to guide. The subconscious misinterprets fear as danger, freezing your body, narrowing your choices. But when you reframe fear as companion, it shifts into energy, sharpening awareness, amplifying courage. The practice. Each night, write one fear, place your hand on it and whisper, I welcome you, teach me. Then imagine yourself dancing with it. See it circling you, feel its rhythm. Move with it, not against it. As you drift to sleep, hold the sense of fear transformed into motion. In dreams, your subconscious will continue the dance, weaving fear into strength. Neris's fame grew, but more importantly, her life expanded. She traveled, loved boldly, spoke truth without trembling. When others asked her secret, she said, I no longer run from fear. I waltz with it. So it must be with you. You do not exile fear. Embrace it. Let it sharpen, guide, and deepen you. Dance with it, and fear becomes your fiercest ally. Chapter 27. The Playground of Possibility, expanding beyond one door. In a small town lived Corin, a young scholar who pinned his entire hope on entering a single academy. He studied tirelessly, believing, this is the only door to my future, but when rejection came, he collapsed into despair. He wandered fields for weeks, convinced his life was ended. One evening, he sat in an abandoned playground, rusted swings creaking in the wind. A child approached laughing, running from slide to swing to seesaw. Corin watched and realized the child did not cling to one game. The playground held many, and joy came from exploring them all. In that instant, he understood life is not one door but a vast playground of possibilities. The next day he looked again. Beyond the academy were libraries, apprenticeships, mentors, paths he had ignored. He began to explore. Each path led to new skills, new encounters. In time, he became a teacher, a writer, a traveler, roles far beyond what the academy could have offered. The subconscious often fixates, saying, if this door does not open, all is lost. But reality is infinite. Possibility branches like stars. The playground is never closed. It is only your vision that narrows. By shifting from fixation to curiosity, you awaken the subconscious to explore new paths. The practice. When one door closes, list 3 new doors. Speak aloud, I live in a playground of infinite possibilities. I release the single path and I explore the many. Before sleep, imagine yourself walking through fields of countless doors, each glowing with potential. Let your dreams lead you into new rooms. Corin never entered the academy, but his life overflowed with adventure. He laughed often at the memory of despair. I thought my story ended at one locked door. I never knew life was a playground waiting for me, so it is with you. When one door closes, rejoice. It means the playground invites you to play elsewhere. Explore, wander, discover. Your destiny is not one path, but 1,000 to. Chapter 28. The Mastery of Movement. Staying unstuck for life. In the harbor city of Vera lived Orin, a shipbuilder of remarkable skill. He built vessels sturdy enough to withstand storms, yet he himself often grew stuck in cycles of despair. After each triumph, he would sink into stagnation, unable to begin anew. One day he confided in an elder sailor who told him, "The sea never stops moving. If you wish to live freely, you must learn its rhythm. Constant motion, constant flow." That night, Orin dreamed of being trapped in a tide pool. The water grew stagnant, the fish gasped, and the once clear pool turned murky. He looked toward the open sea, beams alive and glimmering, and understood. Movement is life. Stagnation is decay. From then on, Orin created a ritual of continuous motion. After each project, no matter how small, he set a new one in motion. He never allowed his energy to idle in doubt. Even when weary, he chose small movements, sharpening tools, sketching designs, gathering timber. Over time, he realized the secret of mastery was not in great leaps, but in refusing stillness that bred decay. So it is with your spirit. Stagnation whispers lies of comfort, urging you to remain in safety. But mastery demands movement, gentle, consistent, alive. Your subconscious thrives on momentum. It translates every step as proof of vitality. One motion tells it, I am alive, I am free, I am unstuck. The practice, never end your day without one act of forward motion. However small, a sentence written, a breath of gratitude, a call made, each act prevents stagnation. Before sleep, review your day. Whisper, I moved forward, and tomorrow I move again. Your subconscious, lulled by this rhythm, will build pathways of perpetual motion. Orin's ships became famous not only for their strength, but for the philosophy etched into every beam, constant movement, constant life. When asked how he avoided stagnation, he replied, I sail as the sea sails, never still, always flowing. So too can you. Mastery is not perfection. It is the refusal to remain still when life begs you to move. Chapter 29. The Dreamer's Authority. Recognizing yourself as creator. In a desert temple lived Kaya, a priestess who guided others through rituals of prayer. People came daily to beg for blessings, believing the gods alone shaped their fate. Yet Kaya saw their despair, how they placed power outside themselves. She began to wonder, what if the divine is not apart from us, but within us? One night she fell into a trance and dreamed she stood before a vast mirror. In it she saw not only her reflection, but entire worlds blossoming from her gaze. As she lifted her hand, stars formed. As she whispered, rivers flowed. She awoke trembling with the revelation. She was not a servant of creation. She was creation itself. The next day, when a farmer begged her to ask the gods for rain, she told him, "Stand with me. Speak as though the rain is already here." Together they declared, "The fields are nourished, the harvest thrives." Days later, rain poured down, word spread, and soon people no longer begged, they declared. The truth is this: you are the dreamer of your reality. Your subconscious does not question whether you are creator or subject. It follows your authority. If you declare yourself powerless, it shapes accordingly. If you declare yourself sovereign, it organizes the world to reflect that sovereignty. The danger lies in forgetting your authority. To hand it away to circumstance, to people, to fear, is to live as a beggar in a palace. But when you claim your power, when you declare, "I am the dreamer, I am the creator," you awaken the deepest law of existence. The practice each night before sleep: close your eyes and imagine the mirror of Kaya. See your reflection, then watch your thoughts shaping landscapes, your words sculpting events. Whisper, "I am the dreamer of my reality. I hold the authority to create." Sleep in this recognition, and your subconscious will weave your dreams with threads of sovereignty. Kaya's temple became known not as a house of begging, but of awakening. Those who entered left not with petitions, but with power. They learned what she had discovered. The gods live in your very breath. So it is with you. You are not waiting for reality. You are dreaming it into being. Claim your authority, and the dream must answer. Chapter 30. The Eternal Opening. Living in Perpetual Expansion. In the ancient kingdom of Siloria lived Aurelius, a philosopher who studied doors. He observed how people rejoiced when one opened and despaired when one closed. Yet he noticed something profound. Even as one door shut, another appeared. The palace had endless corridors, each door leading to another hall, another threshold, another vista. One night Aurelius dreamed of walking a golden corridor with doors stretching infinitely. Each time he opened one, another awaited, more radiant than the last. He realized there is no final door. Life itself is an eternal opening, a ceaseless unfolding. Awakening from the dream, Aurelius taught his students, do not cling to any single opening as if it is the end. Celebrate it, yes. Walk through it, yes. But know that beyond it, another awaits. Expansion has no ceiling. Possibility has no boundary. You live in an infinite unfolding. The subconscious, when trained to expect expansion, ceases to fear loss. It no longer clings desperately to doors that close. Instead, it learns to anticipate the next opening with trust. This mindset transforms despair into curiosity, endings into beginnings. The practice each evening: reflect on the doors that opened in your day, conversations, insights, moments of joy. Then whisper, "Thank you for the openings behind me. I welcome the openings ahead." As you sleep, imagine yourself walking Aurelius's endless corridor, each door glowing brighter. Let your subconscious weave this truth. Life never ends in walls. It continues in openings. Aurelius became known as the philosopher of infinite doors. His students carried his teaching across the world, whispering in times of despair, "Do not mourn the closed door. Look to the next. The openings are eternal. So it is for you. You are not bound by endings. You live in a universe designed for perpetual expansion. Each time you step through, another threshold awaits. Walk with trust, for you are held in the eternal opening.